Hey everybody, Whip here and welcome on back to Minecraft. Today is going to be episode number 2 of how to build an awesome village in Minecraft, and today, don't you guys worry, we are actually going to be building up the village here. So hopefully you guys will enjoy this one. Please hit that like button if you are enjoying all of these village upgrades, castle upgrades, all those things that we're doing to make Minecraft a much more immersive world here. However, I want to propose a few interesting things here for this one. I want to make sure that this village looks very Minecrafty. So looking at Minecraft 1.14 and where the villages are going to be going there with all the detail bits added into them, I want to try and limit our texture usage here to what we have available to ourselves inside of a Minecraft 1.14 village. I think it's going to be an awesome challenge. I think it's going to be so much fun transforming this area, making it into something truly unique and something very, very interesting that our villagers can live in here, hopefully safely, as well as we have the village houses creating the wall themselves going around this area. So without any further ado, let's jump into here and get started on these houses. To get started on the build here, I want to slow it down a little bit for our first few buildings. We'll speed up going throughout the rest of them, but for this first one, I really want to define the style here, working with that vanilla Minecraft Oak Plains village, whatever you want to call it. We are going with a cobblestone base using our oak wood pillars and then using some stripped oak log as well as oak planks to create a sort of a border here. I wanted to add a bunch of windows into here and bring in a lot of flower pots using our allium flower texture here to just make this area just look a little bit more unique and a little bit more colorful as we step through everything. Currently using just spruce wood for a roof. I know that's really not in the just vanilla Minecraft Plains village, but I wanted to mix it up and get just a little bit more detail in here where we could. Bring in some chimneys because I feel like all Minecraft villages, like, they need to have some sort of a chimney block. We have campfires now. It would be cool to see if that's incorporated somehow. Overall, I wanted to come in here and add a bunch of stuff, and now we're adding in a little bit of a tower area that's going to be stretching out above this to really help break up that skyline. There's not a whole lot of access that you could get in there, just like a one wide staircase area that you could use to crawl through it, but I think overall this really helps with setting the tone for what the rest of this village is going to look like, adding in a bunch of variation here, but still making this feel like one continuous, like, consistent theme going out, and that's the type of thing I'm trying to embody throughout all of this. So let's move on to some new buildings. Next up, I wanted to tackle our entranceway here, first bringing in a little bit of foliage and extra life to help bring that abundant feeling into the village, then working on creating an archway over here at the front entrance. This one I want to bring in a lot of stripped spruce wood so it feels a little bit more unique and a little bit different from everything else in here. I just want to have a big archway with a doorway that's just going to be open for people to walk into the village, basically some way where they could maybe close it and defend themselves if they really needed to, but overall it's a village after all, so they're not going to have some big crazy gatehouse in there. Next up, coming into this village building right here, I wanted to use that white terracotta that we're consistently seeing in these new Minecraft Vanilla Plains villages and buildings and all that stuff, which I think is a really cool detail. I'm really happy that they brought that into the palette, so I want to try bringing that in here as well. Bringing in those haystacks as well that they're using in a lot of those, but I think we made it a little bit more unique and a little bit better there. We also added in a cart as well. Coming down here into this next area, you can see us working here with the cobblestone again, and one thing I want to let you guys know there is I'm trying to purposely make it look like it's really crumbled, like there's a lot of things going on with it, so it just feels very crumbled, basically like they stacked up stones to build a house and level the area out. That's more or less the idea of it, but basically there's another house similar to the first ones that we built, just along that same thing. Same theme that we were going with there, bringing in again another one of those white hardened clay bases or houses in here as well. I cannot talk today, but just windows throughout, making this one feel very unique and different, and trying to bring a roof coming to a single point in the center instead of having these long wide roofs. Just again, some more variation in here. Then finally, what's a village without some trees on the inside of it? So I wanted to bring a tree into here, bringing in one of those trees that I've been just loving recently, using a lot of oak leaves, but also using some jungle leaves in there, just to add a little bit of variation to the color itself. This one I picked up a little while ago, and I'm just addicted to doing the trees like this right now. I think it's just going to be a fad that'll last for a little while before we jump back into my old style, but I thought it really fit in here really, really well. Next, we are tackling something that I really struggled with as we were going throughout this build. Right now, we are going to be tackling the windmill. I am not the best at building windmills. It's something that I consistently find myself struggling with, but I love making them, so I love messing around with the ideas. Right now, we're trying to build up a base platform just so we can have an area where people can walk around the windmill and maybe look out over the fields and look out and see how things are going, and maybe do some maintenance on the windmill as they need to by walking around instead of only working from the inside. Originally, I came in here with an idea of bringing it up to about this height right here, and you can see us starting to build some windmill blades out, and they just did not work. it really did not work at all. I tried making it work, I tried really hard with this one, but overall, it's okay to delete something, break it all down, and try something brand new. That's something that I've been really learning recently. For a long time, I was very much stuck on just, okay, we built that, I don't want to spend the time to tear it down, tweak it a little bit, and let's make it work. So here you can see I tried doing another windmill design, and that was just way too short. So we actually ended up extending this guy being up about 3-4 blocks taller, so we can make it even larger windmill blade. And this one, I really like the end result we have going with here. It's hard to make a 45-degree angled windmill blade, but I think we really were able to accomplish something here. I had a lot of fun doing this one. I had a lot of fun messing around with it, and it was really cool to do. It's really cool to try something new. I never am really that great at windmills, and here we were able to come up with a 45-degree angle windmill blade that actually looks pretty cool. Overall, I actually really like the end result for this windmill. I tried making it look very cobbled and just randomized with the windows all over the place as you're going up it. So there's just a lot of things going on, but I think the end result for this one actually turned out really, really cool. Sorry if there's a little sound in the background, the kitchen sink is making noises, but overall, I like how the windmill breaks up the skyline in this build. That's a big thing that I would just convey to everybody doing these types of builds. Break up your skyline. Make sure there's a lot of variety into what you're doing. Make sure whatever you're building, whatever you're working on, there's just variety. It doesn't have to be much, just 1 to 2 blocks, and then a few outliers being way shorter or way taller, and just adding variety and open space and just interest into your builds can cause a lot of extra added things to it. So let's jump on to the next stuff. Next up, moving into some of our more Minecrafty structures here, I wanted to bring in a blacksmith. I feel like we need to start adding in those structures that you would actually find in a Minecraft village within the game. So here I wanted to bring into this area a little bit of a blacksmith, so we're creating a bit of an awning area for a workstation, something that they could work in throughout the day while it's covered, and so that they don't really have to worry about too much with the rain bugging them or anything like that, then just trying to cobble together that roof that we're looking at right there. Then here we're actually going to be building up a little forge workstation for them to work in, using a magma block back there just to make it look like some things are going on, and then just a little bit of a workstation out here in front. And I really like that one. Coming over here, we did have that filler space in the middle. I just want to turn this into like an external storage area with a few benches, bring in all of our bushes around to really bring this build back to tie it into the wheat field around it. We want to fill in that middle area. I think it worked pretty well. Next up is the thing I think everybody's been waiting to see here. We are going to be working on building the church. Yep, this is a church. What we're going to be working on building up here in the front is we're going to make 2 tall center pillars that are just going to be here for just support beams and support areas for the front of the church, just to add a little bit of extra interest to this center point. And then in the middle, we're actually going to bring this up to be even taller, just so there's that center point, so it kind of works up in the center, creating that single arched area. And I really like this. We're going to use slabs mostly for the roof back here, bringing it back towards the sides, making a higher area up here where we can add some windows so that we can get some light shining down in the center. And then we're going to basically copy this down onto the side as well, bringing a few windows there on the side, just bringing them straight down from the top, and it should look pretty good. Bringing everything in here, adding in just extra little bit of details using some stone brick, bringing in some of our diorite that we have, which is just like a lighter polished stone, to help add some texture variation in here, make this guy stand out a little bit more from the rest of the build. Then I figure we needed a little bit of stained glass art there on the back. Moving on over into our basically cemetery area, graveyard, whatever we want to call it. I just wanted to quickly add in a few flowers, add in a few gravestones, using path blocks to define those, and just making this area look pretty interesting. Then out here in the front, I thought it'd be cool to add in another one of those trees. I felt like we could really add in another one, just adding more detail to this area. I felt like this area needed a big green splash. One, because the windmill itself was really bland and boring on that side, so I felt the tree could really block that off well and make it look interesting. Seeing right here with the shaders on and everything, you can't really tell the windmill's very boring right there. It's very flat. The face on it is very, very flat, but the tree adds a lot of interest to keep it just looking good wherever you're looking at the windmill from. From the backside, it didn't look too great, but now I really like this one. I think it did a good job. I think the church turned out pretty well here as well. We have a lot of big windows on this guy, which I really like. We have so many big windows. It's really kind of this grand church standing here in the middle of the village as well, and I think it just worked out really, really well. From the base shape design that we had right there, we were able to come up with something really unique and really interesting that you don't see too often, and that's kind of the goal of all of this, making things that are unique. We are now more than halfway done with our village, and it's probably time to start speeding things up, because we just gotta fill in the rest of the farmhouses, places for people to live, and just a few more unique little bits added around this area, like a storage room, someplace where they can store all the items, maybe as like a granary or something like that, or just a general purpose storage room. and then of course adding in a few more houses for all of our villagers to live in and all that good stuff. But overall, we've done a lot of the unique things for the city, and now it's at that point of your build where you've done all the things that you really want to do. You made all your unique changes to the build, but you got to finish it. You still have all those rest of the spaces to fill in everything that you planned out. Right now it's at that point where I was like, man, I got all the stuff I want to do. I'm kind of done with this one. How do we keep going through? And it basically turned into, for me, this part of it I actually recorded over 4 or 5 days, where I basically would hop on for a half hour here and there, build a next structure, and then hop back off and go back to something that I was way more interested in, something that was newer, something that was fresher to me. And that actually helped me a bunch with finishing up this build. I really enjoyed working on this, but I found that the more I worked on it, the more burnt out I got. So I figured we could just take a little bit of a break, and I think that's something that you guys could really take into consideration as well. If you're trying to work on finishing up a big build, just take a break from it and come back when you're inspired. Make sure you are coming back to it in the end. Don't just be like, oh, we're going to take that forever break, because then you never finish it. Make sure that you come back every once in a while, and it can actually work out pretty well for you. You get a lot of new ideas, you get a lot of new just ways that you can build it, because we bring a lot of new ideas into the end of this one that you guys will see. I figured an overhead view here would be really cool to be able to bring in the last one of these structures here. Just as we're adding in the last few buildings, there's not a whole lot of unique things that are really going on for these specific buildings per se, but the way that we're structuring them and the way that we're mixing up the roof designs just adds a little tiny bit of interest into the area that we didn't have before. And I really like that big open square that we had right here, because I wanted to be able to add in another tree. So we're bringing in a birch tree here using the acacia leaves and birch leaves. That again, it's another tree design I've been obsessed with recently and I just love. So if you guys have good tree designs, be sure to let me know. I'm always looking to add new ones to my repertoire of trees that we can build here in the world. Adding a little bit of an awning here so we can have a crafting station or just a storage station outside, maybe for some firewood or just some crates and things like that. Again, adding in more bushes throughout the area. You can never go wrong with too many bushes throughout. And over in this area, just bring in last one of those white terracotta builds, just so that we can have that again, that more variation to the buildings themselves and making it look like everything is consistent throughout the area, not that just these ones are sectioned off to a specific side or anything. As we finish this video off, I want to leave you guys with a little bit of eye candy here. Taking a look at our village from the distance, you can see the skyline is really mixed up. We added a lot of variety into this build. And frankly, looking at it over the top of the wheat field right now is just making me so happy. I think this is one of my favorite views of the entire village. However, I think it's probably time that we take a look at the upside of the village itself. So we fly up here into the sky, we can see again just all those different sight lines. As you're looking throughout the village, it really looks like it's positioned up here on the hill, but it looks like it's set into the environment itself, using those bushes, using those leaves, all the grass and everything that we use to basically border around the builds, helps it really come into the terrain itself. It makes it look really unique. Coming in here into the front entrance, even this area looks like it belongs here. It looks like we're trying to work with the terrain, basically coming into a tiny valley area where two of the hills came down. That's what we used as our way to get up into the village itself, which I think is really cool, just being able to uniquely add an entrance into this one. I did come in through here after the end and added in a few more extra structures throughout to make the area a little bit more interesting. I added in the market stall right there just to sell some apples or some other fruits or things into the area. I did add in another market stall hidden around this area that there will be a world download here. If you guys would like to come over here and check this out in person yourself, you can do that for sure. I did do the well design there as well. Looks like I did not remember to include that part in the video itself. But overall, it's just a simple little well that you guys can check out in the download if you want. Haha, more reason to get the download. Overall, I'm really happy with this one. Taking one last look over the top of it, we can see just what we turned into from where we took the inspiration from a vanilla Minecraft village. We were able to turn this into something really unique and something really interesting that honestly didn't take too long or didn't take too much work to be able to set up. So I hope that you guys were able to get some use out of this one. If you guys did, please be so kind to hit that like button down below. Subscribe if you'd like to see more of this type of stuff. Also, you want to see a city, you want to see something else, let me know what we should be checking out next. Anyways, I will catch you on the flip side.